One Piece chapter 998, a very interesting chapter for sure. Not a lot of progression, and it was also very short because we had a lot of panels showcasing the Flying Six, and it makes sense, right? These guys are giant ancient creatures of the past. It's only natural that they would take a lot of the panels. But this chapter focused on the full reveal of the Flying Six, specifically them in full transformation, with the exception of Black Maria. She's kind of weird, but we'll talk more on that later on. Now, I'm not sure why Oda focused the chapter on them, but I feel like this was implemented to go along with the reveal of Sasaki, Black Maria, and Who's different abilities, so we can see in totality what the Flying Six are composed of. And they also took a lot of the bigger panels in the chapter, which made the chapter a lot shorter as there wasn't that much progression in the actual plot. But cool chapter regardless, right? So there isn't really that much to go off of, but there are some interesting developments towards the end of the chapter that we can delve deeper in, and also a plot line with Jimbe and Who's Who. But let's start from the beginning. Now, the chapter pretty much starts off with Chopper's side of things, with the ice demon infection getting out of control, and here we come to see Marco is able to use his ability to stop the spread of the ice infection with his flames, which we already kind of knew that Marco is going to play a role in all of this. And judging by Marco's explanation, it doesn't seem like the fire is generating heat itself, but more so the body forcibly creating its own heat to stop the spread of the infection. And it definitely falls in line with what Oda said in the interview, whereas Marco's flames don't actually have the same characteristics as an actual flame, in the sense that it doesn't burn, and it also has a specific effect on people, as back in Whitebeard's hometown when he was helping the people there, he wasn't actually healing them, but more so forcefully allowing your bodies to heal up quicker. Marco also states that in order for them to stop the spread, it also takes away their stamina in return. Now, I'm still curious as to why Marco was capable of hurting Big Mom's homie, and I doubt it's because Marco's flame has some kind of soul effect, but more so his flames having a counteractive effect on fire. So it is very interesting how his flames work. Hopefully Oda gives us more detail as to how that happened. Now, we come to find out that Marco actually wants to give the Straw Hats a ride to the roof in order for them to fight against Kaido, specifically Zoro in this case. And I think this is honestly culminating towards chapter 1000 when everyone arrives at the roof at the same time. Now, we know that Zoro definitely wants to head there, but I'm not exactly sure about Brook or Robin, right? They might stay on the lower floor to do something else. The Flying Six are still active and well, so Brook and Robin might get a matchup there, since the other Straw Hats have already engaged in battle. Now, interestingly, we come to find out that Apu isn't actually out of commission from Zoro's attack and from the last chapter, and of course this caused a huge outrage in the community because usually Zoro's attacks, they put people down for the count, right? But here Apu literally made his return in the next chapter. So did we actually give Zoro too much credit? Now, I will say that this definitely goes both ways, where Zoro is impressive and Apu has been impressive as well. I don't really think this really downgrades any one of them, and a lot of people have been speculating that Marco's flames could have healed Apu, which is the reason he got back up. I personally don't think this was the case. I think this really goes to show that Apu is able to endure a lot of damage and keep going. But going back to the situation at hand here, we have X-Drake attack Apu in his full transformation, making his return short-lived. And I don't think Apu's done. It looks like he's going to get back up eventually. And it seems like X-Drake might be the person to defeat him, you know, for the arc, right? The entire arc. Again, I feel like Kid deserves to defeat Apu just because of the backstory between them. But it's whatever at this point, right? Kid has bigger fish to fry than to deal with Apu. And even Marco said it in this chapter. But I will say that X-Drake easily has the best design amongst the Flying Six. I mean, the full zone transformation in general tend to look really cool, especially when it comes to the ancient types. So it's kind of cool that we got to see all of the Flying Six showing their full transformation, right? That was really cool. We then move on to Jimbe's side of things, in which Jimbe stayed behind as to make way for Luffy. He then encounters Who's Who as a result of that, which was easily one of the more unpredictable matchups so far, but it kind of makes sense that a prominent pirate like Jimbe would go up against what we assume is the strongest Flying Six member, right? Who's Who. And here, as a lot of people speculated, we come to find out that Who's deferred ability is the Sabertooth Tiger, which is different from the usual dragon base like most of the other Flying Six. And Who's demeanor in this chapter was honestly just badass, man. This guy is cool, right? Now, an interesting conversation was brought up between Jimbe and Who's whereas Who's states that he's actually seen Jimbe back when he was a warlord, and Jimbe responds by saying that maybe he would recognize him if he took the mask off. So this is very interesting because there's a lot of speculation going on around as to who this individual is. Some people think it might be a character that we know or seen before, but I feel like Who's is definitely a new character that we don't know, but possibly played a role in past storylines specifically pertaining to Jimbe's history. And I also feel like Who's name is a play on words as well, whereas his character might play on the idea that no one really knows who he is, right? Whereas even when he takes off the mask, Jimbe will have no recollection of who this person is. So definitely interesting stuff here with Who's and Jimbe, and I cannot wait to see where this is headed because Who's is easily the most interesting out of the Flying Six. Now moving on to Sasuke, we come to find out that his devil fruit is also another one that was heavily speculated in the community, and that is the Triceratops. And it also kind of makes sense based on his underlings being the heavy armored squad, so that was like an indication that his fruit was based on being an armored, you know, dinosaur of some sense, right? And the Triceratops fits that mold. And the Frankie matchup was also very obvious. You know, Frankie is known as the Iron Pirate, so a matchup of durability to say, so it kind of fits as well. And finally, moving on to the last reveal of the chapter with Black Mirror's devil fruit ability being an ancient spider devil fruit. And this is very interesting because we haven't seen that many insect zones in the story. There's like 3 that we do know, one of them being Onigumo from the Marines, and some of the Tontadas from Dressrosa also have insect zones. But the fact that she has an ancient type insect, right, makes her kind of a unique version within the Zoan class, and even more so when you get to see her design. Now we don't know if she's in hybrid or full transformation, but given that the other Flying Six were shown in full transformation, it would be weird for Oda not to show her in full transformation as well. We also see that the spider has like a mind of its own, like a separate body. If anything, Black Mirror's devil fruit really falls in line with a Smile devil fruit, right? Like half man, half creature. So in terms of the rules created for Zoans, she seems to be a heavy outlier in all of this. But there's also the idea that Oda did this for an aesthetic reason, for the design to match up with the like half spider, half woman creature from like Japanese lore. So that could be it. Or maybe she's awakened. We don't know what ancient Zoan awakening looks like, so this could be it. But again, we'll see what happens moving forward. Now for Sanji, it seems like this is pretty much a Khalifa moment once again, where Sanji will most likely switch matchups and fight someone else. But again, it doesn't look too good for our boy Sanji, but I'm hoping there's something of value for Sanji here, right? If something does take place. If not, what was the whole point? Now we also get to see page 1 and Uti searching for Nami and Usopp. Again, not really much going on here. And finally, the chapter ends off with Momo and Yamato, in which they arrive at a melted dragon statue, in which Yamato states that the person responsible for this was Ace when he came to Wano, and she also states that Ace came to kill Kaido during this time period. And it's very funny because for some reason Ace versus Kaido was something that never came into mind for me. I'm not sure why, but I never really thought about it. But the fact that a potential encounter between Kaido and Ace happened in the past is interesting. But I feel like Kaido would have said something to Luffy when they fought in Udon. But again, Kaido has never mentioned Ace's name, so I'm not sure if they ever met. But we do know that Ace came to Onigashima, right? It would be very interesting if he fought one of the commanders there. But from what has been hinted, this is most likely where Ace met Yamato. So the Ace plotline keeps on coming back, and I'm definitely excited to see where this is going. But that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Comment down below what you guys think. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel. But it is fair, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.